Good morning and welcome. It's good to see folks. We'll give it a minute so folks can join. And I don't think Kim Davenport is not here yet, but there's some exciting news out of Worcester that we wanted to just share that Kim Davenport was named the appointment as the new CEO of Edward Street in Worcester. So there she is. I can put the link into the chat. Eve Gilmore is retiring, and so they did a search, and we are so thrilled that Kim Davenport will be the incoming CEO. She'll start in January, but it's great news. She's been an incredible friend and partner to Strategies for Children, as has Eve. I was able to be in Worcester last week to celebrate Eve's retirement with the Together for Kids Coalition. So that was great to be there. Oh yes, Jumpstart alums for sure, doing big things. And so good morning to our folks from Wachusett Community, Mount Wachusett Community College. It's great to see you. And I will turn it over to Michelle Mahoney, who, as I said yesterday, is the daughter of our own Marge Mahoney at Strategies for Children. So, what an exciting moment. So, Michelle, I'll turn things over to you. And the first question that we ask everyone who's here is for you each to tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be in your current role.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. As Amy mentioned, my name is Michelle Mahoney. I work in the admissions office here at Mount Wachusett Community College. I also have a couple colleagues on the call that will be sharing as well. So we are kind of here just to share about our college, about our programs, about some things and ways we support students. And then to answer your question, I really enjoy working with students. I worked in the nonprofit sector for a number of years, working with college students and kind of that realm. Missed it and wanted to get back into supporting students and love just being a small piece of their journey. So I'll just hand it over to Anne and Tom just to introduce themselves, and then I will share my screen.
Great.
Hi, I'm Anne Reynolds. I am the Student Parent Support Coordinator at Mount Wachusett Community College. How did I get into the work? I fell into it. I raised 4 children and returned to school late in life. I was 49 years of age. I came to school at Mount Wachusett and rather shyly, but realized there is space for non-traditional students. And then this role opened up. It was a smaller role to start with, and I ended up working in student supports.
Great.
Morning, I'm Tom Linehan. I'm also from Mount Wachusett Community College, and I think many folks who work with families in the early childhood field have one of those stories that went all over the place before I got here. And the brief story is I started in a small nonprofit child care center in the 80s, and then got interested in working in child protective kind of services. I worked in child advocacy and child protective as a mental health clinician, and then finally ended up at UNH for 18 years as a field specialist doing kind of training in the field in both my favorite fields, which are child therapy and also early childhood special education and early childhood. And then I wanted to get to pre-service folks who are about to launch their careers. And so I sought out and ended up at Mount Wachusett Community College with Marty the Mountain Lion and everybody else. So thank you so much for having us.
Great to have you here. And Michelle, you should be able to share your screen. This is always the toughest part of the 9:30 call. I also added in chat tonight, we have the 9:30 call in Espanol at 6:30 p.m. Same link as this link. Tomorrow we will have EEC Commissioner Amy Kershaw will join us, and we will have Excel Linguistics for translation into Spanish.
There we go. All right. So I'm going to jump in. I'm a visual person, so wanted to just also have some information for everyone to read. So kind of going to start off with the admission side of Mount Wachusett and give you a little bit of information about Free Community College. We're really trying to spread the word and make, the community aware of this amazing opportunity. So for those of you who may not know, Mount Wachusett Community College is located in Gardner, Massachusetts. And then we also have a satellite campus in Leominster as well. So want to share kind of about this exciting new opportunity with Free Community College. So there are two programs associated with this. One is MassEducate and the other is MassReconnect. They're very similar from each other with a few small differences, but these two forms of financial aid to cover tuition and fees allows Massachusetts residents who have not yet earned a bachelor's degree to attend any of the state's 15 community college and pay no tuition and fees. So this does apply throughout all the community colleges in Massachusetts. So real quickly, just to kind of jump into the two programs, MassEducate is the newest part of this Free Community College initiative, and it's for associate's degree. They can go back and use and utilize MassEducate to get another associate's degree or a certificate. And then this funding covers all tuition and fees, and some students do qualify for a allowance that can help with books and supplies and things like that. Jumping over to MassReconnect, it is specifically for students 25 and older. It also covers all tuition and fees. Both of these are what's called last dollar funding. And one of the biggest differences is anyone that qualifies for MassReconnect or is 25 years and older automatically receives a book voucher. So that part is not income-based. It's a really great opportunity, like I mentioned, for many individuals in the state. So real quickly,
Thank you so much for that, Michelle. We haven't seen a breakdown like that yet, so that's so helpful. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, you're welcome. So also want to jump in. I get a lot of questions of like, how does this work? How do you qualify? I work with a lot of students in the admission side, kind of helping them through this process. It's fairly straightforward. So really to fall into these categories, a student, as I mentioned before, must not have previously earned a bachelor's degree. They must be a U.S. citizen, permanent legal resident, or non-citizen under the high school completer per Massachusetts tuition equity law. Students must have physically resided in Massachusetts for at least 1 year. They must have already earned a high school diploma or equivalency like a GED or HiSET. They must either fill out the FAFSA or the MASFA and take at least 6 credits, which is usually 2 classes per semester towards an associate's or certificate program. And then lastly, just maintaining satisfactory academic progress. So if an individual falls under these categories, they can qualify for that free community college funding. So I get a lot of questions of, well, how do I actually apply to this? The FAFSA or the MASFA is the key to that. So there's no specific application for the MassReconnect or MassEducate funding. It's all through the FAFSA. So anyone interested in attending the college would go through the general admissions process and then fill out the FAFSA. So that is kind of the key in order to access this type of funding. So that was kind of a very brief overview of kind of how Free Community College works. At the end, I will share my screen again just to share our contact information. But I want to hand it over to Tom to kind of talk about our early childhood education program.
Hello, everybody. Again, and I want to make sure that I especially say hello to Michelle's mom. Hi, Michelle's mom. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to give us a sense of kind of what we do with our education programs. This is kind of where we are supporting folks to enter the field, which we all know is really important right now. And ultimately, right, like everyone, we are trying to do right by children and families. And so this is how we do it. So what I'm going to tell you about, there's a version of a lot of what I talk about that's happening at all of the 15 community colleges, some version or some, and one fun thing I'm going to tell you about that's exactly going to be happening at all the 15 community colleges that we've been working on for a while. And so basically, we have a couple of different tracks or programs. One is to help folks who are interested in working in public schools and education, and that's a track, and that's important, but that's not what I'm going to talk about mostly today. Today, I'm going to talk about the early childhood tracks that get you going for working in early care and education and related jobs and activities. So we have a couple of different programs that we are trying to do, and what is kind of we've been doing and refining as an effort to support the field that really has a shortage of folks right now is that we have recognized and worked with folks in our school that are helping us operationalize something called the Career Pathways Grant. That's a collaboration with EEC, and through that, we've we've had great dialogues between what can be seen as kind of the traditional sort of tracks for folks where you come from high school or for one of your first experiences in college, and what was traditionally called the pre-service idea. You haven't been in the field yet and you're getting ready. And as we know, because of all the complications that have happened because of COVID and all that, that line between pre-service and in-service is less clear than it's ever been, right? So in order to respond to that, part of what we've done in community colleges this is a no-brainer, but it's what we have done to do is we've had various modalities that are available. So you don't have to just come to campus. Through pathways grants and other ideas, we've realized that we have asynchronous online stuff. We have partially synchronous where you come to Zoom for a while and then you're on your own, and then on the asynchronous platform, or high flex where you can be in person or on Zoom. So we've experimented and used a variety of methodologies or modalities of our classes to get folks there, and that's one thing we've been doing. And one thing that I wanted to mention for sure is this idea of the foundational certificate, and that's something that we are rolling out in the fall, as are many, if I believe all, community college. I see Ellen nodding. It's all okay. Yahoo! So it's all the community college. So that just means we're all in with the cool kids, and we're going to have the certificate that is intended to really be a stackable certificate where you can start off and get foundations to get ready to go into the field or enhance what you're doing if you're already in the field. And it'll be 16 credits. I mean, the details will be coming out, but it's kind of some courses that we decided on in a process with the EEC and all the community colleges. We got to some tables. Sometimes it was fun, sometimes it was heated, but it was a great process, and we created this certificate that will be at all the community colleges. And we hope that you start and stay with us if you live near us, but if you have to go to a different community college, you'll be able to take that directly, whatever you've already worked on for this certificate, take it directly to another community college and finish up. So it's really something we're excited about, and it will be kind of a standard of so things you need to get into the field or enhance your activity in the field. So that's something we're doing. And then sort of what we've done sort of for local needs is through a needs assessment process we did in 2018, 2019. We heard a lot from parents and from programs that there was still a lot of folks that needed support around two kind of things that they're not necessarily rated, but sometimes they are. And one is, children who have special needs. I mean, or who learn differently, and then children who are struggling with behavior. And so what we created was a track in our professional early education and care track. That's not intended to train special ed teachers, but it's intended to give folks in early childcare programs the tools they need to be a good collaborator to support families and children with exceptionalities, learning differences, special needs. So we have a track called Early Care and Education for Children with Exceptionalities. And so that's sort of what, in a nutshell, what we're doing, and it's similar to what a lot of the community colleges are doing, but I wanted to give you a sense of that. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ann Reynolds, who will tell you about some really interesting and creative ways that she has done in her space to support parenting students who are a very important part of our college and a large number of our students, but she'll tell you all about that. She knows more than I do. So I'll turn it over to Ann.
I'm not sure I know more than Tom, but I'll try. It's so nice to be here today and to see some familiar faces. Makes me feel a little bit more comfortable in this space of early childhood experts, of which I am not. So I work with students who are parents. We go between two terms, parenting students, which I prefer because it encompasses all of those students that take care of maybe stepchildren or even their grandchild or even their siblings. We're seeing a lot of that. So I like the term parenting students, but I must admit I fall back to student parents as well. So we go between those two terms. When I first came into this space, I was a parenting student myself. At that time, I was going for my master's. I'd finished at the Mount and got my went on to Assumption to get my bachelor's and was going for my master's. So I was becoming, I had to step back and say, hey, I'm a student parent as well. It was rather interesting. But what I have discovered about student parents, which I think may surprise some of you, 1 in 4 at community colleges are raising children. We believe that number has risen greatly since the introduction of MassReconnect, because when you think of MassReconnect, like Michelle explained, it is that 25 plus age group. And many times the reason they did not complete an associate's degree or go on with their education was because children came along. So at community colleges, it's 1 in 4. At 4-year institutions, it's 1 in 5. And that is surprising to some people, but we have to think of our master's programs, PhD programs. These tend to be more students who are raising children. A high percentage of them are female, many of them are single, and many are low income, which also they fall into that category of first generation, meaning they're the first in their family to go for an education, which gives them very little support at home. So we at community colleges especially are that support. We are that link to helping them obtain an education. At Mount Wachusett, the students that we served through a couple of our programs that I'm going to tell you about, 93% of them were identified as first generation. But what we do know about this population, and research shown, and I can share data with you at another time of our own program, but when we support this population, they will graduate faster and with higher GPAs than their non-parenting peers. So this is a group of, we're also not only educating the parent who's going to give back and increase, improve their socioeconomic situation, we're educating the child too. Many times our children that come to campus say, this is my school too. And that became our recent motto that we have printed on our little onesies to give our new parents when they have children. So MWCC is their school too. So we started at Mount Wachusett. I started back in 2014. There were supports for student parents, but it was minimal at the time. We were very fortunate to have the CCAMPIS grant. It's the Child Care Access Means Parents in School. It's a federal grant that helps supports eligible low-income student parents with a subsidy to pay a portion of their childcare costs at quality licensed childcare providers and facilities and before and after school programs. We've had that grant here at Mount Wachusett since 2009, and we are in our last year of this 4-year period. We are getting ready to write that for another 4 years. We hope it's still in the scheme of things with the Department of Ed, and that is a very strong grant that helps this population. A few years ago, we did something called the Family Friendly Campus Toolkit, and we did a deep dive to see how family friendly we actually were. Because if we have student parents, 1 in 4 on our college campuses, we have to know who they are. We have to support them to get through. So we did this deep dive with the Family Friendly Campus Toolkit, and we discovered that what our student parents were looking for was a place to call their own, easier access to emergency loans, and drop-in childcare. So we actually had, we were given an unused classroom on the 3rd floor. It's not an ideal spot, but in this space, we created what we call the Child Watch. And that is a place where student parents can come and have their child watched by, we have a staff of work studies. Some are in our early childhood program, and we have some grant paid employees in this space, and they will care for your child if you stay on campus while you're in class or taking an exam or in the testing center, meeting with your advisor or tutoring. And then in that space also lives our Family Resource Center. Our space is not big enough for this. We're outgrowing it as we speak. We are really advocating for a larger space, and we want to be on the ground floor. And I know you guys can see the sense in us being on the ground floor. But it's baby steps. Sorry, the pun, but pardon the pun, but we're going to get there. We know we're going to get there. But the Family Resource Center, that has been grown by a human service major who's now at Simmons, and she's
Wow.
still working with us. And she's building the family resource piece to let our families know the different resources within the community that can help them. And then we also have lactation rooms on all of our campuses. And I have been slowly going to different departments, divisions, and trying to educate everybody about the importance of Title IX and how it protects our parenting students and our pregnant students. I think I covered everything. I just want to finish with a little high note. Our average GPA of the students that we support through our Child Watch and through our CCAMPIS is 3.47. So not too shabby, and they're a great population to work with. We are learning as we go as well. I would say that this program, especially the Child Watch side, a colleague of mine likened it to we're building the plane as we're in the air, and we really are. And we're learning from experts, and we're getting there slowly but surely. But it is a model that nationally other schools are looking at. And they're building theirs on the ground. So they're probably getting a lot more things right. But yeah, that's about all I can say. A lot more about student parents, but I know my time is short here.
We'd love to maybe have you come back in and hear more about it because I think, but would love to get to the chat. So Kira wonders, with community college being free now, I'm wondering if you have any data on the needs supports for this group of students. Have you found the need for increased academic support? I've noticed an increase in the needs of students, and I just don't know if it's the case of my group of students or if it's a trend. I want to make sure that we are creating supports if we need this.
Yes, they do need more supports academically because, like I was saying earlier, especially for that Mass Reconnect, and my colleagues may have more information on this, but what I'm seeing is that they are first generation students. So those first generation students, they don't have anyone at home, you know, that will help them do the FAFSA, that will help them, uh, what does to write a paper even.
Right.
So, but connecting them, what I have found and what's been happening organically up in the Child Watch. So most of the workers, all of the workers except for one, are student parents themselves. And we designed it that way because we wanted to improve their social economic piece, and they help each other the best. They
Right.
rely on each other. So, Kira, I think that it's definitely there is more hand holding to be done, but connecting them to their people and people they can relate to, and are living a similar existence in this balancing of family and school, I think is much stronger. Sometimes I'm not in that space at all. Sometimes I am, but and I sometimes won't meet a student for a whole semester that's been utilizing that space and connecting with her peers. So peer mentoring is huge.
Thanks, Anne. Ellen, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, just quick response to that, and it sounds fabulous. It really does. I just wanted to mention that Sarah put it in the chat, but yes, we find that across the 15 community colleges, students they do need more support, and Mass Reconnect and Mass Educator are excellent options. But at the same time, for some students, taking 6 credits a semester is a lot.
Right.
So we just want to remind folks that career pathways, you can take your first course, one course at a time, lots of support, lots of wraparound services, and can actually, they're lucky at Mount Wachusett to be able to point their students in the direction of Anne's as well. And then also the EC scholarship, 3 credits at a time. So it's just something to think about. We want to make sure students know, we know it's a lot to work full
Yeah.
time, to raise your family, and also trying to take your coursework.
It's great to have you and Sarah Steen on the call, and I know Sarah out of the chat. We also did talk to Senator Lewis about the 6 credit requirement for free community college, and he understood that and was thinking about like what other ways can we think about that. But to Ellen's point, there are other options to kind of put together, and that's I think the best news that now all these pieces are working together instead of against each other, which I think we've just seen. Kate Warren Barnes says support for parenting students is so needed. I wish there had been an Anne in my undergrad program. And then, do you know if most of the community college has early childhood programs close by for the kids? Is that what you were asking, Kira? Yes. We know that Holyoke Community College also has a similar program. Um, and then just wow, exciting opportunity that a childcare is being offered. And Michelle, thank you for putting your email in. Tom says, thank you so much. Okay, we have a lot going on. Thank you. Everyone needs an Anne. Yes. Okay, well, it's 10 a.m. Any last words to the folks on Mount Wachusett? And we would love to have you come back. We'd love to hear from students if that would be possible too.
I could bring students.
That would be great
definitely.
because I think just to
Yes.
hear from their experience.
Yeah, and I can bring, I have a very strong student help. She's the lead in the Child Watch, but she is one of Tom's students and in early childhood, and she would be great. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Wonderful. Michelle, any final words? We're so glad. Thank you, Michelle, for reaching out and making today happen. But any final words from you?
No, just thank you so much for having us today.
Wonderful. So, Michelle, if you send me the slides, I'll post them in our follow-up folder. We did record this call today, so we'll add it to our YouTube playlist, which is getting to be very extensive now. And just really appreciate you all joining us. We had over 50 people on the call this morning, which is great. Today is the EEC board meeting, then the 9:30 call in Spanish tonight, and then tomorrow we'll have the commissioner on the 9:30 call in the morning. So have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us. Take care.